You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You know, when we're talking about players and fast risers and surprises, sometimes you can go overboard with that if it makes sense. There's always guys like Devin Thomas back in the day would always have a big spring game, and then in fall camp and in fall games, they would kind of just disappear. This year, though, it feels a little bit different with some of the players that took steps that you weren't exactly expecting. Some of the players that had a big fall camp, whether they are a true freshman or a transfer coming from a lower level, or just somebody that has waited their turn, they have taken full advantage of this fall camp. And there's several players in this camp that have made jumps. The first one is Izaiah Hartrup. We talked about after the first scrimmage, he was the leader in the clubhouse to take the punt return job. But with the wide receiver room being kind of weird, we question how much he would actually play during the season. Listen, Ole Miss doesn't substitute very much. They say they want to. They say it's good. They say it should be the way it is. But Ole Miss doesn't substitute that much. If that changes, that changes. But we are going to act like this year is going to look like the last 5 years at Ole Miss. And if it changes, absolutely fantastic. Yay. But Ole Miss did not substitute very much in 5 years. And a lot of that has to do with tempo, what's going on. It's just that they can't, because if you run players off the field, then all of a sudden the other team can slow you down. It kills tempo. Heck, look what Illinois did to the South Carolina Gamecocks a year ago as far as putting on a clinic into getting into a coach's head. All of these games could happen as well. But Izaiah Hartrup at wide receiver, he's somebody that could find himself in the rotation. Him and Deuce Alexander, those are the big two. Traylon Ray, I like him as well. I hear his name a bunch. Have not heard his name as much lately. But the starting three, presumably, will be De'Zhaun Stribling, Harrison Wallace III, and Kaden Lee. The second group of players is that Traylon Ray, that Deuce Alexander, that Izaiah Hartrup. And two of those three players getting on the field would not surprise me at all. Another player on the wide receiver side of things that has made a name for himself in fall camp is Dylan Alford. The young guy out of Saraland High School in Mobile, Alabama, originally from Gaucher. Unbelievably smooth-looking player. I don't know how much he's going to play because of what I just mentioned before. And then Winston Watkins, who was the star of fall camp or spring camp as far as social media goes. Winnie Watkins could absolutely see himself on the field. Now, the winner for the punt return battle, whether Traylon Ray returns kickoffs or punts and Deuce Alexander, that is one thing that can happen because the athletes that you have, they're good enough that they can step back there. And recently at Ole Miss, Jordan Watkins was the punt returner for Ole Miss, and they used Ulysses Bentley at kickoff return. I like having somebody that's a little bit bigger back there returning kickoffs because I saw Dexter McCluster almost die against Vanderbilt. That I want some meat back there returning kickoffs. Punt returners, it's a shifty, it's a side-to-side thing. I think Winnie Watkins would be a great player, but coaches are so risk-averse, essentially, that you're not going to see a freshman back there returning kicks. You're just not going to see that. Potentially, but I think Deuce Alexander or Izaiah Hartrup will be back there as well. On the offensive line, true freshmen, Devin Harper and Connor Halls, both of which are tackles at heart, both of which are taking advantage of the uncertainty. We're going to talk about the injuries and all of the rumors and the fan base freaking out about the offensive line next segment. But Connor Halls and Devin Harper, they've taken advantage of that situation and that injury bug mounting to make themselves be in a really good spot. At tight end, there's Caleb Odom. He needs to come back from injury to get ready for Georgia State. But when he is full go, he is a special player. Kam Franklin, we talked about earlier, he took a big step in the offseason and now is the presumptive starter at the strong side defensive end. Tahj Chambers, that is somebody at linebacker next to TJ Daugherty. He has had a big camp as well. And defensive backs, you have Dante Core. You have Ricky Fletcher. That's his name. I got there. Ricky Fletcher. You have Antonio Kite that had big moments in the defensive backfield. But those are some of the players that have had a really good camp for Ole Miss moving forward. I think all of them are in line for some kind of playing time. So we'll see exactly how that goes and what that means. Now, in our final segment, it is the easy reaction to say the offensive line is doomed to struggle. It feels like a foregone conclusion, right? But maybe that's not the case. And there are reasons for optimism. We'll break all of that down. That and Ole Miss trivia next. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up and college football is not far behind. So whether you've got your eye on a big name quarterback or a breakout running back, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in on the game. Maybe it is just the hard knocks happening right now, but I am a huge Josh Allen guy, and I think this might be the year for Buffalo. Prize Picks is a way for me to kind of test that theory. Prize Picks put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, to get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. That's the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, to get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. When I'm on top of my hydration, I notice everything works better. My energy, my mood, my focus, even my skin. But getting enough fluids every day is not always easy. That's why I've been loving Drip Drop. Drip Drop is doctor developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb the fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half of the sugar of the leading sports drink. My go-to flavor right now is cherry limeade. It's a game changer after a workout or on those extra busy days. And walking twice per day in the Florida heat, it's absolutely draining. But Drip Drop is able to help all of that. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits really hard. You know, if you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you needed a service. If the person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That is why you need Open Phone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone solves that problem for you instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more who's handling this. And the AI agent handles after hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads. So I never miss a customer again. So see why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That's openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Today in Ole Miss Trivia, we are talking about Ole Miss versus LSU on Halloween. The Rebels have not played the LSU Tigers on Halloween for quite a while, but the last time they played, what was the year and the score of that football game? And for bonus points, what do we remember about that game? Put your answers down below. We will put the answer out on social media a little bit later on today. Thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, Google Ole Miss podcast and see how much the Locked On Ole Miss podcast comes up. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on the YouTube channel and on whichever podcast you're listening to. It helps the show. It is completely free. Your support means the world to us. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to college football's landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word meaning bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.